You've made it to the podcast Recovery Captured, hosted by me, Shannon Louise, a certified recovery coach and self-verified addict. Join me on my journey through my recovery from mind-altering substances, eating disorders, depression, and much, much more. During this podcast, you'll hear my personal experience, thoughts, and opinions, as well as my guests' stories through their own recovery. I hope that you're able to take something away from this podcast and use it as a tool to help you see that your story is picture perfect.
Too. But let me just give half to you. And
Listen, is this just like the Krakatoa? Sure
I
fucking is.
think, yeah, exactly. It is like the Krakatoa, except
with
a
stars.
different container with stars and purple. Is it sparkly?
Well, the sparkles are the stars, I guess.
Yeah.
I went to the Dollar Tree with my residents yesterday.
Awesome.
They loved it. First time able to like go out after COVID.
Yeah.
And we went and I got a bunch of bingo prizes. I had one of the ladies that loves bingo and she helped me pick out a bunch of bingo prizes and the other lady was still looking. I was like, well, I might as well fucking look around.
Right, exactly.
And I got a bunch of toys.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love bingo. Have you ever played bingo? Like really played it?
Yeah, over at Broadacres. That shit's dope.
Oh, we're gonna have to go. Are they doing it again?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll look at a calendar and we will, because I fuck some bingo up. I love it.
I do too.
Oh my God.
It's worth spending $50 on a package.
It is. It is. Do they have like a concession stand there?
Yep.
Yeah.
They have a little sign. So listen, have you ever been to Broadacres?
I haven't. No.
Okay, so
I know it's huge, right?
It's huge and it's like, I believe it's Egyptian like paintings and stuff. So it used to be a skate land.
Oh, okay.
So where we're sitting is like the roller rink area.
Cut it out. Oh, that's so
and
cool.
then there's like a snack bar and stuff like that.
Snacks.
And there's a big screen so you can like follow along to see what numbers were just called because
Oh, that's
they go
nice.
fast
Right. Yeah, exactly. They don't fuck around.
And there's like all different kinds of games.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's weird.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Well, we're definitely going to look into that today.
I would love that.
Yeah, me too.
What a treat.
Truly. What a treat. I know, right?
I haven't been in a while.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. I mean, I've never been up here, but I've played for like fundraisers and stuff back home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was always fun.
Mm-hmm.
You get your dabber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had like 7 at one point. I don't know where they all went.
I love that.
I had dabbers. I like going for the people watching. That's ideal.
That's so true too. Yeah, because bingo attracts a certain crowd.
It does, and I also enjoy the prizes. Yes. I'm a sucker. I like it.
I when I've played it, it's just been cash prizes.
Yep, there's cash prizes.
Nice, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I won a harmonica in 3rd grade playing like a PTO bingo event.
Are we talking about like a legit harmonica or like a plastic toy one?
It was a legit harmonica.
Did you learn how to play?
I just futzed around on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was pretty cool.
I mean, I would try to learn. Maybe. There's a lot of inward breathing, which I think could help you last longer. in playing, you blow out and you blow in.
Yes, now I follow. I didn't know
inward
what we
singing.
were last
I'm sorry. It's a Tenacious D reference.
Oh, yes, you do love Tenacious D.
I do.
You do some Jack Black. He is a solid guy though. I would like to hang out with Jack Black.
I do too. I was actually listening to him on the way here.
Nice.
Double Team. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good song.
I'll check it out.
Tribute. Classic. So, what are we talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about facing the past.
Facing the past.
Which is kind of a heavy topic, but I don't know. I feel kind of heavy today.
Well, that's going to bring me down.
Well, I don't not like intentionally, but like just some days it's like like I don't know, like it's like gray outside today.
It's been all week.
Yeah. Like I just need some sun in my life.
I'm not enough. Don't
Oops. You know, you're definitely
Jillian,
helping.
guess what?
What?
The microphone on the video camera isn't on.
Oh my god.
Fuck. Okay, hold on.
Okay. Could do one of those little claps. Clap. Oh my god. Should we start from the top or should we just carry on?
I mean, we might as well just carry on.
Might as well carry on.
You know,
Keep calm and carry on. Well, you know, that's all right. I mean,
so for the people on watching us on YouTube, we literally just did, I don't know, 10 minutes of recording, and I yet again forgot to turn on the mic on that end.
well, you know, it's the second time doing video, so
It is.
yeah. I mean,
It is. But Jillian, the fact is, we could do it 15 times, and on the 16th time, the shit would still happen.
That's true. That's true. That's true. No, I was listening,
all right.
and I think I texted you this too. I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts, is Straight Talk with Ross.
Yeah.
And they did a whole episode without recording, and then they did the next one right after, and they were like, it's so hard to get back into it. They're like, it's just not going to be the same. And
Yeah.
like the first part of it was just them lamenting about how like they were so in it before, and now it was so like fake, but it still ended up being a really good episode. I would have loved to have heard the one that
first
didn't
one.
get recorded. And so it's just we're not alone.
Yeah, no, I also listened to a podcast, and I guess he like updated his software right before, and it just fucked up everything, and so they didn't record. And yeah, no, I have that fear all the time, like the mic, and I just remembered that it's not on, and then I'm like looking at the camera to make sure it's still fucking going, and then I'm like double checking that this is still going, and I'm like triple check. It's like when I leave my house, I have to like check everything. I have to, you know, make sure the oven's off. I have to go check my hair straightener, make sure it's off.
Yep.
Even though I haven't used it in over 2 weeks, still got to go check as if it's on, because that causes me a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
I always unplug my hair straightener and put it, so we have shoes in the room that in my big closet. Where I do my hair, and every time I straighten my hair, I always put the cord, I unplug, I say unplug, and then I put it in one of the boots, and I always go, there's a snake in my boots, every fucking time without fail.
You say it.
Yes, of course I do. Because if I don't say it out loud, I'm gonna fucking forget, and then I'm gonna be driving and I'm gonna have all this anxiety. It's like it takes me out. And so, yeah, I have to sit there and put a cord in and say there's a snake in my boot.
Unplug. There's a snake in my boot.
Exactly. And so if I say that, I know that I unplugged it.
Well, whatever works, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So yet again, what are we talking about, Jilly?
So for yet again, today we're going to discuss facing the past.
Yeah.
And all that encompasses. And then I made a comment about how I was feeling down today because it wasn't sunny, and Shannon was offended because I implied that she wasn't enough sun in my life, which I take it back. Shannon is the sun, a bright spot in my life.
That little ray of sunshine.
She really is. But yeah, so facing the past is a big topic. Like a lot of the topics we talk about are, there's a lot of different ways to go. What is the first thing that comes to mind for you when that topic comes up?
Making amends. I worked through a 12-step program, and one of my biggest fears was facing the past, finding, going back through things that have harmed me, people who have harmed me, and then also who I have harmed, and what I did and how to change it. And then to follow that, we have to go back to those we have hurt and make amends, not just saying sorry, because sorry's just a empty word,
Right.
especially when we used it all the time because we did so much wrong. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And it's like, that actually means nothing now. You cried wolf too many times and now it means nothing. So to make an amends, you know, we have to acknowledge it and then actively change our behavior to follow through with those amends. And that was really intimidating to me, to go back and face those people. You know, for me, I was so nervous and ashamed. I did my parents last. Like, I broke down the way I was going to do my amends, and I was so ashamed I put my parents last because I knew I disappointed them and I knew I let them down, and I was really ashamed of that, and I was scared of what they were going to say. So I made all these amends before, and you know, there's some that people I couldn't get in contact with, or there's people that I can't make amends because it could harm them or other people around them. So I did the best I could making these amends to people that I had harmed. And then the last people that I talked to were my parents, and they were by far the most forgiving and the most understanding and the most loving ones that I made. I mean, like my family, everyone else, they were fantastic, but my parents were like, we forgave you a long time ago. You know, so that meant a lot, you know, but it was really hard at first, weeding out everything and like figuring out, kind of like reliving that I don't know if it's more so trauma for the little things for me, but you know, I had to go through all that again and relive it. And then I really took the time to see who I harmed, and I didn't realize how much harm I really did when we're in it. I just fucking threw that. I'm sorry.
It just went across the room.
Is Boyd gonna eat it?
No, no,
Okay.
he won't. He'll barely eat his kibble. He won't eat that. You watch though. This will be the time.
Poop sparkles.
Did I tell you about the time he pooped a condom?
Stop it.
We'll come back to that.
All right, we'll talk about what comes out of our dogs. I'm excited.
Yes.
But anyways, you know, just facing the past and figuring out where I did wrong was also very heavy for me. What about you?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I had just had a lot of thoughts. But yeah, no, like I was so afraid of my parents doing their amends, and so they were one of the first ones I did. I think because some of that fear was definitely a motivator, and also like timing wise, because I was back and forth between Vermont and New Hampshire when I'd started making my amends.
Right.
And yeah, I had a very similar experience where they were completely forgiving, right? And like one of the things that I had to navigate with them was this concept, right, of like, we don't want to make amends that are going to cause harm to someone. Right. And so like my parents didn't see a lot of the worst parts of my disease.
Right.
Because
you were
I
in
was
Vermont.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was trying, you know, I had to find a way to make amends for my behavior and my dishonesty without also causing them more harm by relaying every graphic detail of the things that I was being dishonest about, right? And so, but like I was able to make amends for like behavior that I had done before getting sober, right? Because I was kind of a late bloomer in terms of alcohol. But my alcoholism kicked off so quickly because like years before I was behaving alcoholically just without the alcohol. And so like by the time I finally had alcohol in my system, it was like, whoosh, right? And
Yeah,
so
straight
like
shot.
I definitely was behaving in ways that caused harm. And so like being able to make amends for that, as well as the continued dishonesty and worry that I caused them during my drinking. And one of the most cool experiences I've had with amends is people making amends back to me. Has that happened to you?
It did, but it was information I didn't know. With an ex-boyfriend and a baby mama.
Okay,
she
so
divulged that there was
so yeah, maybe
some
there was
inappropriate stuff, and I was like, well, didn't know that.
right.
But
So
we also had a lot of history and beef and stuff, so I don't know how much that was, and I don't know if she was completely, I don't know.
right.
I forgive everyone, you
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
at the time I was like, wow, was not expecting that, you know, because
Right.
I still had feelings for this guy and
Yeah.
stuff, and yeah,
Yeah.
I got that. I had this really cool amends with an individual that I had to make amends for omission of certain information that I should have gave him prior to us hooking up. And I didn't tell him that information, and later did an amends, and it really was hard on him, and he shut me out for a long time. And this is the first round I did of amends, and he didn't take it well. He was very kind about it, but the second time I did men's, this is like a few years later, he came out. I wasn't even talking to him at this point. We were good friends too, and I wasn't talking to him. And then all of a sudden, he comes out of the blue and messages me and apologizes for the way he acted when I gave him my amends. And it was just very ironic that it happened to be when I was doing my amends again, the second round. It was really cool, and we reconnected, and we're on talking terms, and he's just a great individual, and I will always remember that. The timing was perfect, and he's just a very understanding individual, and it was really cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. How that, I've had a similar experience. Well, I had one pre-sobriety in terms of like a breakup that happened, and it was actually kind of the opposite situation where like I made amends for, because like the breakup was ugly and things were said on the other side, like to me, that like granted I didn't handle well, but and so then that person came back later and made amends to me, and I wouldn't hear it. Right? I was like, no, you know, fuck you, right? And then like as time went on, you know, it was like, well, you know, like I could have heard him out, you know. But then also like in sobriety, like I think of one friendship that I had that like things just ended not well. We were both just kind of in our sick, you know, in our own different ways. And you know, the relationship ended, and then that person came back later and made amends, and now we stay connected, you know, like we don't like talk all the time, but like now, you know,
it's
like
cordial.
It's cordial. Yeah, exactly. Like because I've never stopped caring about that person, you know. It was just like, this just isn't healthy.
Right.
We're not able, like we're just not in points in our life where together we can really make much sense, right? And so I mean, that's really amazing. But yeah, and I think of times that like I've two experiences, like times that I've made amends for things that have weighed on me that someone else was like, oh, like that's okay, like I stopped thinking about that,
or I don't remember.
Right.
I don't fucking remember that because I was a bitch.
Right, exactly.
It was rough. That stayed with me for years, and it fucking happened in like kindergarten.
Right. Oh my gosh. I think of this one amends that I made to a friend that I met in high school, actually. And we would get together as like a group of us because I had another high school friend go to Champlain College. And then this other high school friend was at school in New York. And there was one really fucking ugly night. That was like one of the last, well, it was towards the end of my drinking, where I was just inconsolable. And this particular friend, he said to me, he's like, I think you need to talk to somebody, right? And I, you know, made amends to him for my behavior and whatnot. And he was like, I'm just glad you're doing well. Right? He's like, you don't need to apologize for that. And it's like, well, I do, because this is what I need to do to stay sober. So I appreciate that. But, you know, it was like, no biggie, you know, like, I'm glad you're doing better. Right? And so just so amazing.
Yeah, it's really nice to see and have people forgive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
they might not forget, but they're so open to forgiveness and, you know, giving you that second chance.
Yeah.
You know, because so much trust and hurt came about it. You know, I had one of my dearest friends, best friends since like 5th grade. She is a normie, and I went the opposite way in high school, and I lost contact with her, and I hung out with people, and we just weren't nice to her, and I can't believe, I think about this often, and I can't believe what we did, or just like the way that we ended. And I was just a bitch, and I just ignored, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just immature, frankly. And when I got sober, I made an amends to her, and our relationship picked right back up, you know, and we're just, she tells me all the time how, you know, grateful she is and how proud she is of me and how far I've come and how successful. And I was just like, every time she says something like that, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I came from such a dumpy place in life to now, and our relationship is right back where it was, and even better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's really cool. The relationships that you build, or just, you know, you might not build back that relationship, but there's at least a respect in that underline of like, we're good and let's move past it.
Right. Like you can walk through town without being worried that you're going to see somebody, right? Because like you've cleared the air and you've taken care of your side of the street. Do you have any amends that you still need to make?
I mean, I don't know if like there's the ones that in our literature it says make amends, but don't do it to those that make it hurt, right?
Right.
So
right.
I feel like some of those are kind of left open, because yes, I'm doing a living amends, and yes, I have corrected my behavior and I have forgiven myself for what I have done, but it's like there's people that I've reached out to that just haven't, you know, like social media has been a godsend, and I reach out to these people and these people decline my request, so I can't talk to them or whatever, and it's just like, okay, well, I'm at this point, you know, and people that I financially hurt, I have donated money to organizations and you know, stuff like that. So I feel like the ones that you can't do kind of feel undone. And then there's always the spot check inventory. You know, that's learning that is, you know, when you do harm, you immediately correct it. Fucking A.
The camera turned off.
Again. Our video stopped again. Surprise.
Surprise.
So, you know, we were talking about a living amends and not being able to make amends to those that we may hurt and whatnot. That kind of feels incomplete to me. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely have amends that I still need to make.
Yeah.
And they one I'm just tabling because it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's not going to be, you know, particularly worse than any of the other ones I made, but there's one in particular that I'm sitting on for sure.
Why is it? Just because it's going to be uncomfortable?
Yeah, it's a big one. It's probably the biggest one that I need to make. Yeah, and it's just a relationship that just didn't end really well. And it is one that I'm afraid of running into this person.
Oh, because it's here?
Yeah. Right? You know, and it's like, and I don't want to live that way anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not expecting that I'm going to become, you know, best friends with this person or friends at all, but like I would love to be able to like walk down Church Street and see this person and just like be able to like nod at them and not be like, like I hope they don't see. Right? Like, and so I know that like I need to do it, right? Because like that's what I've been told in this program that I participate in, is that like that I will drink if I don't make all my amends, right? And so I know that I need to do it, right? And I feel like I've been thinking about it a lot lately, which feels kind of like maybe
A sign to go do it.
right. And so yeah, I mean this person is here and they are I mean it's
I don't know, and now you've been thinking about it, and now we're doing this episode.
right. I know. I feel like
You're kind of fucked.
I know. I am kind of fucked.
You put it out in the universe.
I put it out in the universe, right? So I'm probably gonna see this person tonight.
This person
right?
is probably gonna listen to this episode.
Probably, and they're probably gonna be like, "Fuck yeah, you owe me an amends. I've been waiting for it."
What about your spot check inventory? So I was trying to explain this prior to the video stopping. Spot check inventory is, now we still do harm. We're not fucking perfect.
No, fuck no.
No one is, so there's still harm that is done throughout your day, or luckily mine isn't every day. I've gotten better with my attitude and my actions and everything, but it still comes up, and it's that spot check of, okay, I did wrong and now I have to go correct it.
Right.
It happens with Dane. I'll snap at him and I go back and I'm like, I give myself some time to cool and him to cool, give our space or whatever. And it's just like, hey, I literally just snapped at you and I apologize. And I try my best to not do it again, and, and be really aware of it, because it's not fair for him, or, there was some things at work with COVID and COVID pay with the leave and stuff. And I have never spoke to a boss the way I spoke to one of my supervisors. And I ripped her a new one through and through. And I was just short with my boss. I hung up the phone, and it was just not appropriate. And it was not, something I would want someone to do to me. And I made 3 amends in one day to them, like repeating to both of them, because I felt so bad.
Yeah.
I made an amends and I was like, I want to put it out there again. Like, I'm sorry, it was just not professional, and they were so understanding, and it's not awkward now. They just know that there's another side to me that not many people see, and so it's just making an effort
totally
to recorrect something that you may have done wrong, and now I don't have to wait years to do it.
Exactly.
And so it lingers. And what about you? Do you do spots?
I do. I totally do. And you summed up exactly my thoughts on it. Like, my tolerance for sitting with behavior that I need to make amends for is so much lower than it was pre-sobriety. Shit, there was something else that I was gonna... Fuck. It totally is out of my brain.
You should probably walk 20 minutes a day.
I probably should, and I think then all my memory issues will be solved.
Fuck.
Oh, but like going off of like my goal today is to live in such a way that I don't need to make amends. Right. Like, and that's like a goal, and that is a goal to me that is equal to perfection, and I will never achieve perfection, right? Because I'm a human being. So like, that's what I go for, but exactly, like, I'm not, like, I'm gonna fuck up, and I'm gonna need to make amends. Right. And so like, I try to live in such a way that I don't need to, but like, when it inevitably happens, I am able to recognize it much quicker and go and make the necessary amends and then move on. Move on.
Exactly. So for me, I made up this thing called the 3 A's. And it really helps me keep myself in check. So like, when I do something wrong, the first step I do is acknowledge what I did. Okay. I accept what I did. And then I act upon it. So I do something different.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And so once I acknowledge something that I did, I'm able to go back to that, kind of remember, like, oh shit, I did that. That wasn't cool, or whatever. And then I got to accept a lot of things in life, because things aren't going to go my way. Things are out of my control, So it's like, we got to learn acceptance. I feel like that's one of the main things in life is acceptance.
Right.
And so I accept that I did wrong. I accept that my behavior I acted poorly and stuff. Doesn't mean I like it.
Right.
That's a key thing with acceptance. You don't have to like it,
Right.
you know, but just accepting it for what it is, and then acting upon it, changing that behavior, having that action to follow through. That has really helped me keep stuff in check, so I don't have to make all these fucking amends, because frankly making amends was the hardest part of working a 12-step program for me. And I don't want to say that to discourage anyone, because it made me grow in ways I could never imagine.
Yep.
But
yeah, we should do a whole episode on acceptance.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good
We'll
one.
put that in the notes.
Put it on the list.
Yeah,
when we discussed the topic of facing the past, like amends is obviously like a big part of it. And then also what comes up for me too is shame, and how the shame that I've held has evolved over time.
Sure.
Like pre-sobriety, I held so much shame over my actions and like couldn't tell people the truth about anything. I held just so much disgust and just hatred towards myself for my actions. And I definitely carried that into sobriety as well. Definitely in early sobriety. And then even like in like once I had consecutive months and years, right? Like I still carried shame. But today, like just truly time has been the biggest thing for me in terms of my shame. And that I no longer, I look at myself today, the Jillian that was drunk, and the Jillian, even the Jillian before I was drunk, right? Like just Jillian pre 2015, with so much more compassion. And like, God, like that poor Jillian was lost in the world, right? And was just doing the best she could, and she just didn't know better, really. Like I was like the things that I were doing worked, so like of course I was going to continue to do them. And yeah, like it's just, I mean, I'm not like, you know, and that doesn't say like, you know, oh, like I'm fine with all the actions and decisions I took, like, because I'm not, you know, like I don't look back and be like, whatever. You know, like there are a lot of things that were quite problematic and quite traumatic that I participated in and was involved in. But like it doesn't feel the same way it used to. What about you?
Shame is just, it was really heavy in the beginning, you know? And a lot of it I pushed down, or I pushed out in hopes that I would forget it. So I didn't really focus much on it, you know what I mean? Because I pushed it all out. It wasn't, you know, you hit it with the time. Time is a huge factor. You know, making the amends helped with the shame. Forgiving myself.
Yes.
That's like where it all comes in. And yeah, you mentioned you were very sick, you know, and I don't want to use the excuse when I talk about stuff like this, like I'm an alcoholic, so I got to do A, B, and C, because that's not the case.
Right.
You know,
no,
like
exactly.
I don't want to use it. I don't want people to think of it as an excuse, or that I used it as an excuse. But yeah, I was very sick, and I didn't know how to move about life. I didn't know how to cope with situations, and you know, I got, when I consumed drugs, my main goal was to black out. You know, and I just didn't know how to balance that all out, or, you know, so there was a lot of things that came from that with shame, because I had a lot of poor choices and bad behaviors, and I acted crazy and stuff. But, you know, I forgave myself for what I did, and, you know, I choose not to do that stuff today, so I'm not ashamed. And, you know, I catch myself if I start doing something that I'm like, that's kind of sketchy, or yeah, you know, you're not going to like the outcome of that, or, you know, like, yeah, no, shame is a lot. And shame, you know, was also something that made me drink, or, you know, I don't want to say made me drink, but I drank over shame.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
you know,
For sure.
one of those pains that I wanted to drink away.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it became this vicious cycle of like, okay, like my drink, when I'm drinking, I behaved, in ways that caused me shame
Right.
when I was sober as well. But in particular, when I was
Right.
drinking, right, like I was behaving in ways that caused me a lot of shame. Then I feel bad about how I behaved. And now I want to drink more because I want to suppress that shame. And then when I do drink, I start behaving the same way again, right? So
It's a
this
fucking vicious
cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Fuck yeah. Um, yeah, you got me thinking too about like, yes, like the time aspect with shame, and like what also has helped me with shame is being honest about the things I was held a lot of shame for. Like there were like I remember so like I was in this relationship with this when I was 18, I was in a relationship with a guy who was 36. And I held so much shame over that age difference, right? I could not tell anybody. Right? Like I could not tell my therapist, I could not tell my friends, I could not tell my sponsor, like nobody could know, right? Like I had everybody believing that this was somebody my age that I was in a relationship with, because I felt like no, like then it was like, well, what did you expect, Jillian? Like, like you were asking for it, like
Right.
you had no business, like, and like yeah, like I had no business being with this person, but like this person was like my like conduit to alcohol, right? And so anyway, like that shame started to dissolve when I fucking told somebody. Like, yeah, like I was with someone twice my age and they were like, "Yeah, I've done that too." Right? And I was like, "What? You have too? But like you have like your shit together and you seem so like, normal, right?" And they're like, "Yeah." Right? Like to have that experience changed my fucking life. To be able to be like, yeah, like I just to finally like admit it to people, like finally to admit it to my therapist, to tell my sponsor, to tell friends that I met in sobriety, and then to be like, yeah, okay. I was like, what? You're not going to disown me? You're not going to be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like that, I mean, truly that experience, I can't speak highly enough of like just getting over that hump of like, I can't let people know. People can't find out the real truth, right? Because then they're going to think less of me. They're not going to like me. Like that has not been the case for me at all.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why it's really important for us, or one of the suggestions when working through a 12-step program is getting a mentor. Is getting someone to talk to. And if there's further issues beyond that, mental health or whatever, there's therapists and psychiatry, like everything else after that. And I really, for me, I really push, talking to someone, because that's where a lot of growth happened. When bringing up shame, I had a lot of shame to admitting that I was an alcoholic. Like in general, I wouldn't talk to people about my recovery. I didn't bring up the fact that I had a drinking problem. I just kept it on the DL, my eating disorder, like I said, no one knew until about a year ago that was even a thing. Just like hush hush about it. And we've talked about this so many times because I feel like there's so much stigma through society about alcoholism, addiction, mental health disorders, all this stuff. There's just so much pressure and misused knowledge or uneducated, individual. You don't learn this stuff in school. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just feel like there was so much pressure to keep it on the DL, where now it's like, no, you know what? Fuck you, fuck your opinion, and fuck everything else about it, because my entire life for the last 8 years has been about recovery. And I, God forbid, like anything happens, but I hope for the rest of my life is about recovery. So yeah, I gave up that shame, and I feel like that really allowed me to blossom even further. When I got this recent job, it happened to come up in the interview, and I was like, yeah, I'm in recovery for drug and alcohol addiction. And they asked me how long I had, and they congratulated me, like, I'm not going to hide that from you, because it's part of my life.
Yeah.
You're going to hear me talk about it to my coworkers. You're going to, listen to a podcast, you might, you're just going to find out. So it's like, why even be timid about it and keep it at the wayside when it's like, hey, this is my life. You cannot, you can hire me and we be cool, or you choose not to hire me because I'm an ex-drug addict,
Right.
People are weird, we know this,
Yes.
And a bunch of my jobs previous, I mean, I was a house manager, so it's like kind of ideal to be in recovery when you manage sober houses. But the job before that, I was really open with my boss, and and then prior to that, I was working in a facility, and my bosses also saw my court date in the paper and approached me about it, because I was screwed all the way around. And so they also saw it and pulled me aside. And ironically, I was going to pull them aside literally like 5 minutes after when they pulled me aside.
Cut it out. Yeah.
They were totally open
and
accepting and willing to help. And they didn't shun me. They, worked with me, and I was able to celebrate one of my anniversaries with them. I bought a cake and we all enjoyed it, thanking them for, being my support. And it's like, when I don't, when I'm open about it, a lot of people can connect with it. A lot of people can share it with me. A lot of people can celebrate it with me. And, I had a lot of shame around it. And also people judging me, but that's not what I've gotten. Anyone I've talked to has told me otherwise. I mean, there is this one individual, and I won't name names, and I won't go far into it, but this individual kind of questioned her son's choice in hanging out with me. Because I was in recovery. I'm like, would you rather have me drink and get shit-faced and treat this individual like a piece of shit on the bottom of my shoe, or you want me to be a good human and not drink? I don't know.
Right.
So it's just kind of skewed. It's a little weird.
Very much so.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have shame about being in recovery?
Oh, hell yeah. And I definitely had some judgment too.
Judgment from other people?
Yeah.
You know what I want to do?
Yeah.
I just want to throw my fingers up at them.
Right.
Because you know that they struggle with something.
Well, that's just it.
And they have family,
like,
guaranteed, whether they know it or not. Someone around them struggles with something.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, what I had a hard time with is, I mean, I got sober at 19. And so when you get sober before you're even legally able to drink, right, it raises some eyebrows. I mean, for sure. And so part of this was, internalized my feeling, like, how am I going to explain to people? Like, I felt like I had to, like, justify to people. And a lot of the shit that, like, is like the examples of my alcoholism is like some dark shit that I just don't share with just everybody, right? And so, and I was like, how I want them to like believe and know that I'm an alcoholic, but like I don't want to tell them like my deepest, darkest shit, and like I really struggled with that. And now I really don't, because like if you don't believe me, then like I don't care. You know,
I don't
like,
need to explain myself.
Right. Like I don't like if you feel like that I'm like, like eventually I'd be able to drink normal, or like I just needed to grow out of it, then like it's no skin off my back, right? Like, okay, like your opinion isn't gonna make me drink. But no, like I remember like my like I was talking to my mom about it, and it was hard for my parents because they didn't see a lot of it. Like my dad was very much like, yeah, like if she thinks she has a problem, then she has a problem. Like, and he was actually like, this is actually really great that she's coming to us saying that like she's getting help. Cause like, right, like I called them to be like, I'm in AA. Right. And they were like, oh, Right? Like they were like, I mean, we knew you drank, but like we didn't know that you drank.
Right.
Right. And so, but my mom was more confused of like what? Like, what do you mean? And so she had shared with me that she told a good friend of hers. And it was totally fine with me that she did that. But the friend's response was like, oh, like she's just confused. Like she's not really an alcoholic because like that friend's father was an alcoholic, right? And like my mom shared with me that that was that friend's response, and I was like, ugh, like I was like, well, and I just felt like all these different emotions. I felt like sad that like people would like just not like believe me. It was like, I didn't start going to AA. Oh, fuck, I'm talking about AA.
It's all right. I'm pretty sure everyone knows. Just we'll move forward and we just won't,
Oh, I've been totally
program.
12-step. Fuck, sorry, anonymity.
I think just make an amends.
I'm making an amends to the AA community because I'm blowing my anonymity.
You keep saying
as I keep saying that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like your anonymity altogether is already blown because.
Yeah, I mean.
Anyway,
moving forward, 12-step fellowship. And so, I was like, I didn't start going to a 12-step fellowship like for shits and giggles, like because like I needed to like fill my time, right?
Yeah, I'm bored.
Right, exactly. And so I was angry. I was kind of hurt. I was kind of sad. I was confused. I was like, why are like people deciding whether I'm like right or wrong in my feeling that I have
choice.
Right, exactly. And like now that doesn't really bother me anymore. Like at the time it was hard. And like I think I'd shared before, like I'd gone on dates and stuff and had been like, especially in like super early sobriety, like, and I also like was, I feel like there's a lot to be said. You attract what you are. Ugh. And so like in early sobriety, like when I was really sick, I was like not attracting like really high caliber individuals. And so, yeah, there'd be a lot of eyebrow raising and like, oh, you're sober. And it's like, I don't think I'm better than you, right? Like I actually think I'm significant. I actually am sitting here in front of you thinking I'm a piece of shit, right? Like at that point in my life. And so yeah, I experienced a lot of judgment, and as time has gone on, and I don't know whether this is a coincidence or whether this is just because like I naturally have more confidence in my sobriety and my recovery, but like I don't get that response anymore. People are like, oh wow, that's really great. And and granted, it may be because people are like, oh, how long have you been in recovery for? And I can say 6 years. They're like, oh, okay, it's not like you're doing like dry December. You know what I mean? Right. But yeah, no, today like I don't wear it on my sleeve. I'm not like, hi, I'm Jillian and I'm sober. But like it comes up and I'm not like, oh shit, like how am I gonna tell this person that I don't drink? I'm like, yeah, like when I drink, things don't go well. Mm-hmm. Right? And like, and most people take that at face value. If they don't, then I'm like, yeah, then I'll give them a little more detail, but I no longer feel like I need to fill people in on everything and be like, well, like shit, like I did this, I did that, and then it's like, whoa, okay, like it's just, I don't do that anymore. Yeah. I don't feel like I need to.
Yeah, you don't need to justify anything to anyone, and if anyone really questions it now, it's kind of like, okay, well, you don't really need to be in my life.
Right. Exactly. That's so true.
The kicker for me was, it's just a phase.
Oh, yeah.
My phase was pretty bad. Don't know about yours.
Right, exactly. That's just it. I mean, it's, and again, that's where, like, when I used to hear that, I used to feel like I needed to qualify it with, like, well, did you do this and this and this?
Yeah, comparing.
Like, right? And it was, and then, like, I end up making sharing something that, like, I don't really feel comfortable sharing just because I'm trying to make somebody think a certain thing about me that, like, really doesn't even matter. Mm-hmm.
People are off.
People are off, but that's okay because
I
You're right. I am too. Yeah. And I get to stay sober today regardless of whether somebody else thinks that I am an alcoholic or not, or whether I just went through a phase that.
But when people did challenge that, like, it's a phase, or you're too young, or you didn't do
Yeah.
this, you're not really an alcoholic.
Right.
Did that make you question?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Because, like, my brain will, like, give me an inch and I'll take a mile. Like, I'll be
Right.
like, oh, well, like, so-and-so doesn't think I am, you know, despite the line of people behind me who are, like, so glad that
Right.
I'm getting help, right?
Right.
Like, that one person who never saw my drinking, right?
Yeah.
Who hasn't seen me in years,
Right.
right?
That
They
opinion.
don't think I am because they remember, you know, like, little kid Jillian, you know, like, well, then I can't be.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's insane, but
For me,
absolutely.
it definitely brought up some stuff like, oh, it was just a phase. I was 21, you know, like,
Mhm.
you got to
Right.
get your partying in.
Right.
It's that age and all this stuff. Oh, you were just in college or whatever. And it made me question it. And when I would get tripped up on that question, I always had to remind myself why I'm in the program and why I cannot drink or use drugs.
Mhm.
And that's what keeps me from going back and like, okay, yeah, I was just young, I can go back now. And it's like, no, if I cannot have one drink,
No,
I cannot
exactly.
have one line,
Right.
I cannot have one puff. One, doesn't make sense. Two, I'm not going to feel anything.
Mhm.
Or if I do, I want to feel more, so I'm going to do more. One
Right.
is too many and 1,000 is never enough. That is legit.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
that's what keeps me from not caving into those, you know, those conclusions that everyone makes of like, you're just a phase or whatever. It's,
Yeah.
nope, I cannot have one.
Yeah. I heard in fellowship meetings this saying, like, if the solution is working, you might have the problem.
Mm.
And when I heard that, I was like, okay.
Yep.
Right? Because like if you listen to my story, you know that, like, I had this plan of, like, I'm gonna get sober for 6 months because I thought it was a phase. Now that, like, I was recognizing this trauma work that I needed to do, like, I figured, you know, just some therapy, some, you know, and some good old extracurricular activities, like, you know,
You'll be
I'll be fine,
You can
right?
drink.
And so, right, but, like, just in, you know, staying involved in the fellowship and seeing my life truly, like, crumble when I lost my alcohol crutch, and hearing that fucking line about if the solution is working, you might have the problem. I was like, well, all right.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. I don't know. Facing the past, facing the shame, facing what other people think, it can be challenging, but it's a challenge that I have accepted and, you know, taken full accountability for. And, you know, I always say this, but I'm so grateful for all that I went through. You know, I'm not grateful that I hurt people, and I'm not grateful that I went through a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, like, I'm grateful for where I am today.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that.
You know?
Yeah, like, I think of that a lot in terms of, like, that relationship I was in. If I had not been in that relationship at 18, like, I might not be sober right now. Like, that fucking relationship brought me to my fucking knees.
Right.
Like, so quick, right? And, like, granted, like, I mean, it still was, like, a year before I got sober after that, but, like, had that trauma not occurred, then I don't know that things would have spiraled the way that they did over the course of the next year. You know, so while I'm not grateful for the trauma, like, I feel like that is, like, not the correct way of phrasing it. Like,
Yeah,
I am
not the right
grateful for I guess I'm grateful for the pain in a sense, because it got me to a point where I was ready to make some kind of change, right? And then, starting by making that small change, I became more and more willing to make larger changes.
Right. Versus if you didn't go through that pain, but you just went through the subtle pains of this alcoholism, it could have been dragged out so much longer than versus just, you know, going through it and then realizing it.
Right.
And it's also, you know, like, yeah, we went through some shitty stuff, but, like, the lessons that I learned from that, the growth that I was able to gain from that, you know, just that knowledge and being able to recognize all this, I'm able to not do what people have done to me, or just, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that living amends type thing of like not repeating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Some heavy stuff.
It is some heavy stuff. And yeah, it's not like a light topic. And I mean, like, yeah, the way that I can sit and talk about shame today, like, I could not do earlier. So, like, you know, if you're listening and you struggle with shame, like, I just think it's important to put out there that it's a process and that I did not have, like, my shame wiped clean from me, you know, early on or overnight. Like, it's taken a lot of work and it's taken a lot of time. But it does get better. And part of it too is like, I can't keep behaving the same way that was causing me shame. Like, I do have to change. Like, because I carried a lot of behaviors from pre-sobriety into sobriety for years. That definitely perpetuated my shame, right? And so then I had to change those behaviors too in order to truly start to feel less shame and like differently about it.
Well, a lot of people, and this one goes for me, and this is what I've heard of, you know, once I put down the drink or the drug, the fucking camera stopped again. We can't get out all the good stuff.
We can't.
Sorry. Yet again, people on the camera. Guys, it keeps getting cut off and my tech savvy self doesn't know shit. So this is what we got to go through.
It's a learning process. We'll figure it out.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess we got to go through the pain to learn, huh?
I fucking guess so, right?
Oh. See, like, and I said this before, it's so hard to get back to what I was talking about. One, I never remember anything. But
I don't remember either, just because I was thinking about this goo while you were.
Can we talk about it? Because I've been thinking about it. Look at my fingers.
Yeah, they're purple. Mine are not. Oh, they're a little purple.
Let it hit the sun. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there we go. I was just noticing how, like, the more you play with it, it starts to stretch.
Yeah, well, I left some on the floor because I, for some reason, flung it, and it just, like, spreads. It goes, bleh.
Yeah. I was rolling it on my pants thinking that it wouldn't get stuck to the fabric, and that was false. It does. So don't do that.
It does. And then I was rolling it on my leg, and I have stars everywhere. And then I stopped because I realized my fingers are purple. I don't know
what's a pretty color, at least.
It is, but I don't want it on my hands. That's
fair.
That's the thing. Like, am I going to transfer it to something? I don't know.
I don't know.
You know, this is what we get when I buy stuff from the dollar store.
Well, I mean, that's all right. We just got to bring the flarp back out.
Jillian, that episode, I have 4 minutes, I shit you not, of us playing with flarp.
I mean, I think that's what the people want to hear.
Dane's like, you have to cut some of that out. I was like, do I though?
Have to cut some of that out.
Do I?
Just put it at the end.
I think we need to make a whole, like, 3 episodes of just random shit that we've done. And bloopers and...
Yes. Exactly.
But yeah, I might just put it at the end. I'm definitely going to keep some in so people can understand the context and enjoy what we go through. That is definitely an episode I wish we had the video camera for, because that was legit. That was... And, like, we're playing with it, and the whole time you can hear this, like, faint gasping for air. We're just silent, and we're just playing with it, and we can't catch our breath.
You're right.
And that's all and so, like, that's the time when we need the video.
It's true. You really need
mouth wide open, head back.
Oh,
those are the greatest.
They are the best laughs. Well, this was a good topic. I feel like we've encountered this with all the topics, is like there's so much we could say.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, we got to keep the episodes somewhat concise for your listening pleasure. But yeah, maybe we'll do a part 2.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these could be part 2s.
Hell yeah.
You know, we also got to keep it in a timely manner. According to my camera, it doesn't like our time.
I know. Fucking camera.
Asshole. But yeah, let's call it quits, and we'll pick up another day.
Sounds good.
All right.
Bye.